The Cycling South Africa 2024 National Road Championships took place in Midvaal, south of Joburg last weekend. The official race headquarters was a familiar meeting place for cyclists in Johannesburg, in the deep south, Café de Cirque near Walkerville. While we'll focus on the elite men's and women's road races, there were over 50 national champions crowned between Thursday and Sunday in both individual time trial and road race disciplines. Jerseys were handed out in age group categories from the juniors right up to the age of 70 and to paracycling champions. As an official UCI event, bikes were weighed to ensure they conform with a minimum weight requirement of 6.8 kilograms. The women's road race took place on Sunday morning, and all the country's top roadies and a few mountain bikers had entered. The road race came a few days after the individual time trial.
Friday we had the individual time trial, and I'm very, very happy to have taken that win. It was very unexpected, but yeah, it's given me a lot of confidence going into today, and I'm hoping it will be a good day. We'll see, but yeah, hopefully I'll get the double.
Haley's win in the time trial completes a set of road champions jerseys, having won the Criterium title last year and the road race title in 2021. She faced formidable opposition in Midvaal, with 30 riders taking to the start line for the 138-kilometre race. Defending champion Francis Janssen van Rensburg was not on the start line, and neither was six-time champion Ashley Montpassio. But 2018 winner Carlo Oberholzer was back after having a baby, and Joe van der Winkel, her teammate, was another who had eyes on the prize. Joining the elites were the under-23 women, Sonica Klopper, Carlies Schiepers, Ainsley de Beer, and under-23 time trial gold and silver medalists Anneke Visser and Lisanne Lowe were also contenders. Joining Haley Preen on the front early was Tennille Otto. Preen spent much of 2023 riding in the UK and Europe for a continental women's tour team, Torelli. The team folded at the end of last year, and the versatile and talented racer is now on the hunt to join a team for this year. Otto also had a few months of racing in Europe last year for the Douala Chevalier team. She got to ride the Amstel Gold and Flèche Wallonne. She was off the front early in Midvaal for a brief while, but soon back in the pack. It was still far too early for any serious moves. The course was made up of 3 laps of a loop out towards Walkerville, which would account for around 63 kilometres. They would then head out east towards Suikerbosrand for a big hilly loop in the stunning nature reserve. This was where the day's major climbs were, and in all likelihood the race would be decided before they returned to Café de Cirque and the finish line. The total amount of climbing was approximately 1,400 metres. The customised Pertec team had a number of cars to play. This was Carmen Lackmeyer. Tiffany Keeble is a dangerous lone ranger in the peloton. On her left, under 23, Lisanne Lowe. A group of 5 did eventually escape the clutches of the peloton. Bianca Nel, Ricky Lee Brookstone, Alex Klaassen, Lisa Bone, and under 23 Jessie Woods rolled through the finish arch a few minutes ahead of the peloton.
It's time to put in that counter-attack in there.
Despite Steve Saunders' suggestion, there was no sign of a counter just yet. The bunch was being led by Melissa Kretzinger and teammate Kelsey van Schoor. Meanwhile, the famous 5 on the break continued to tap out a decent pace as they cruised through the arch and had been on the road for around an hour and 20 minutes. The bunch behind upped their tempo, and just before the arch, a crash saw a number of riders go down.
As the ladies start picking their pacing up, it looks like they've had enough of this easy ride.
Preen and Otto were clearly keen to keep the momentum going in the group. It was significantly smaller due in part to the crash and the increase in speed. After 3 laps, the lead group of 5 had an advantage of just under 2.5 minutes. Bone and Klaassen in the Sandton City Cycle Nation colours were riding for their teammate Carlo Oberholzer, who was managing her energy well in the main group. With the starters done, it was time for the main course, a lap of the beautiful Suikerbosrand Nature Reserve. The lead group was down to 4, Brookstone, Bone, Klaassen and Nel as they began the climbing. Lisa Bone used the steeper pitches to put in a dig. The Sandton City Cycle Nation rider was feeling strong and began opening a gap of around 25 seconds as she wound deeper into the reserve, which after a good summer's rain was looking particularly healthy. Bianca Nel of the Copy Star team was doing all she could to hold the gap. Ricky Lee Brookstone of Complete Cyclist and Alex Klaassen were pacing themselves up the climb. Bone was closing in on the top. She'd done a wonderful job for the Sandton City Cycle Nation team, evidence of which was not far back, as Haley Preen and Carlo Oberholzer hove into view. The 2 former champions steamed past Bone and pinned their ears back for the descent. This was the race-deciding contest. The rest of the field were racing for third. swung out of the reserve and through the gate. It was flat out now for the finish. Both are good finishers, who had kept enough in the tank for a big final race-winning effort. Carla collected a last bottle from husband Stefan in the car. And then it was all out into the sprint. Breen closest to the barriers and Oberholzer, who just pipped the Cape rider on the line. A sensational finish and a second national champions jersey for the Clarence-based rider, who only returned to serious racing halfway through last year and went on to win the 947 ride Joburg in November. Congratulations from Stefan and team boss Lincoln King, who also thanked Lisa Bone for a huge effort that paid off handsomely for the team. Sonara Couvé was third, Joe van der Winkel fourth, Bone fifth, and a thirsty Tiffany Keep sixth. The men's road race was the last of the weekend. A huge field, the very best racers in the country were there. This is a title they all want, but only one can have every year. There were 4 former champions on the start line. Last year's winner Travis Steadman, Mark Pritson, the 2021 champion, Ryan Gibbons, who won in 2020, and Reinhard Janssen van Rensburg, a winner in 2016 and 2022. The privilege and honour of joining a select band of fellow cyclists who can say they were national champions carries with it the prestige of wearing the champion's jersey at every race for the next 12 months. They rolled away from the start, some with apprehension at what lay ahead, others relishing the challenge, and a few aiming at a shot at glory. The 182 kilometres included 5 laps of the walkable circuit before they tackled the 60-kilometre hilly lap of Suikerbosrand. It was clear the contenders wanted to thin the group down early. RKC Collectives Chris Jooster and Kent Payne doing the damage. The only World Tour team rider in the race was Ryan Gibbons, who joined the Little Trek team after 3 seasons with the UAE team Emirates. He didn't have an ally in the race. The RKC Collective is a newly formed team of passionate and committed racers in Maine and Jooster and Keenan Root and Rowan Deploy. They are for now self-funded, but are in the hunt for sponsors. Gibbons had won the time trial title and was keen to do the double and show off the national champions jersey on the World Tour. An early break did eventually get away. It was made up of Casper Krier, Tristan Nokia, Calvin Beneke, Brendan Havenga, Keenan Root, Dan Loubser and Tulasizwe Nkeke. The peloton was still under the direction of RKC Collective, who were a rider short Rowan Deployer had taken ill. 35-year-old Reinhard Janssen van Rensburg joined Billy Smith on the China Glory team for the year. Smith was in Andorra though, and Rainey was a lone ranger, but always a threat. As was Cannondale Factory Racing's mountain bike star Alan Hatherley. Alongside him, talented 18-year-old Kieran Gorge, who finished matric at Polworth Gymnasium 2 months ago. That's the beauty of the national championships. Hatherley was a silver medalist in the time trial. The break was still going well up the road. For now, there were team riders from Honeycomb, RKC and Alawani, and a collection of solo riders, so it was an eclectic mix. Capetonian Dan Loubser, a man who just loves to be off the front of any race he rides. And why not on that stunning specialised bike? Mountain biker Tristan Nokia trying his luck on the road for Team Honeycomb. They rolled through the feed zone, a crucial element of a day like this. The heat and the longer distance that most of these riders are used to riding in South Africa can be the undoing of those who don't eat and drink regularly. The bunch was about 2.5 minutes back. Maine and Jooster still doing a massive job up front. Good to see Nico Bell in the blue kit back racing. Former mountain bike star making the trip from his home in Nelspruit, which is one of the advantages of having the national championships close to the biggest urban settlement in the country and an international airport. The temperature was climbing. The break, though, was still intact. 7 riders enjoying the freedom of the road. Some experienced hands in this group as well, with Beneke and Kruger regulars for many years on the local racing scene, as is Nkeke of Alawani. One more time through the finish. They did lose Kruger, the Honeycomb man, leaving teammate Nokia in the break as he rolled back to the peloton, which was slowly but surely reading the break in. Like a beast, Maine was still churning out the watts on the front. On this display alone, they should have someone keen to put their name on the RKC team. Ryan Gibbons was enjoying an armchair ride, and obviously quite friendly. Thanks, Ryan. And this is a good illustration of how beneficial it is to ride second wheel. Gibbons appears to be cruising in Maine's slip, who's working a little harder. Up ahead, the break was down to 4. Beneke was working hard to keep it that way. Brendan Havengaard chatting with Nokia Loubser on his left. The race was heading for the hills. The leading quartet rolled through the gates. Tristan Nokia, Dan Loubser, Calvin Benneker and Brendan Havengaard. Benneker was first to lose touch as the road ascended. Havengaard on Loubser's wheel. And then he wasn't. Nokia, though, was in his zone. As one of the country's foremost mountain bikers, he was very much at home on these climbs. He's from George, where his backyard rides are the Montague and Outeniqua passes. Meanwhile, Ryan Gibbons had climbed out of his armchair and was in hot pursuit. He might be Mads Pedersen's lead-out man on the World Tour, but you don't finish 6 monuments and 7 Grand Tours without being able to climb. He was on a mission. The under-23 race was boiling up nicely. Jaden Turler, Paga Eurosteel hunting the win. Gibbons, though, was going like the wind. He could just see Nokia up ahead through the winding road. It wasn't long before he caught him. Wisely, Tristan Nokia waited and then joined him for the rest of the climb. This is just what the route was designed to do, draw out the very best riders as they went head-to-head on the steepest ramps near the summit. Eventually, Nokia cracked. The little Trek man, who will be racing the Tour de la Provence in France this week, was away. He kept his head down for the run out of Suikerbosrand, and Ryan Gibbons raised his arms aloft as South African champion once more. 4 hours, 17 minutes for the 182 kilometres, a top-class ride by a world-class rider. Tristan Nokia made a sensational debut in the SA Road Championships. In the break all day, he was just over 2 minutes back to take silver for his team Honeycomb. And Morne Finikak, who rides for Saint-Michel-Aubert in Europe, was third. Jaden Turler got up to take the under-23 title, just flipping last year's national champion Travis Steadman. The spoils of victory to Ryan Gibbons. An average speed of 42 k's an hour and a top speed of 79. The medals and champions jerseys awaited the winners. A second for both Ryan Gibbons and Carlo Oberholzer.
No, look, it means the world. It's so nice to be able to prepare for something and to pay back everyone who believes in us and who put so much time, effort and finances into us, for all our sponsors, for my family, for friends, people who show up day in and day out, and they don't get to stand on the podium, they don't get the medal around the neck, so this is for all of them. It's really so nice to be able to pay them back.
Carlo Oberholzer collects the gold medal and the national champions jersey, which he will wear all year. The Tokyo Olympian celebrating in fitting fashion. The men's podium, 2 seasoned European road race pros and a mountain biker. Gibbons of Little Trek wins again, just before jetting off for a 9th year on the World Tour.
My calendar this year, it's quite an intense, hectic calendar. I'm going to be with Mads Pedersen the whole year, so I do all the races with him, starting from Provence in 4 days' time, Paris-Nice, all the classics, Dauphiné, Tour de France, Vuelta. So pretty much this is the only opportunity I have for my own results, my own ambition was the national champs, and the team were phenomenal. They said, you know what, Ryan, we believe in you, we're going to support you. They gave me all the resources I needed, all the equipment, and they said go out and do your national championships. And yeah, we believe in you, so please come back with two gold medals. So obviously it's easier said than done, but that was kind of the thought behind it. I mean, I'm leaving tomorrow on a flight back straight to France, and I go directly to Marseille for the Tour de Provence. So yeah, the team had full faith in me, and I'm very, very privileged and grateful and relieved that I could put it off and get the two golds. Having the jersey in Europe is always a big thing. You know, every single race I do, I'm going to have the national champs jersey. So I'm easily identifiable. It's a talking point. It means so much. You know, you're representing your nation on the world stage. So my plan, regardless of the result today, I was always going to do the Tour de France. I was always going to do Vuelta España. Hopefully now it means I've kind of cemented my position for Olympic Games. But again, every single race you do, you know, having that jersey, people kind of give you a little bit more respect, and it is an honour. And again, you know, I'm very proud to be a South African. I'm not here that often, so to represent South Africa on the world stage and for everyone to see that flag, it's something that's, I can't even put words to it. So I'm going to cherish this year, cherish this jersey, and hopefully do the colours proud.
A worthy champion indeed.